Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author Matt Adams.
But something is missing in the game, and that sort of the desire and the love and the enthusiasm for the game that was created when they were just tots. And you just went out there and you hit shots and you hit shots. And I've said this to you, and I still think it's the case. Players of today are trying to play an imperfect game perfectly, and it's impossible. And I think that's what separates a Scottie Scheffler from a lot of the other players. He's not trying to do it that way. Yeah, you want to hit good shots, but it's not about being perfect. It's about being able to score, and I think that's what links golf, again, to me, brings back those memories of when I would sit there as a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I'd go out to the course, and my parents would say, we'll pick you up at 7 o'clock. And you'd be out there all day, and you'd be hitting shots all day long, and you're hitting how many different kinds of shots. That's what links golf does, and that's what when I translate to watching these guys, and I'm like, you've forgotten what created the passion in you and the ability to hit those different kind of shots. You should be able to hit them better now than you did when you were 6 years old, right? So I just love it. I mean, it's wonderful. People say you got to embrace it. Well, you should embrace golf and life in general. And it's about being with friends and experiencing it. But golf is what sort of brings us all together to be here. Yeah. And that's the power of the game of golf.
Powerful words from Mark Carnevale. Good day to one and all, and thank you for joining us from wherever you are. It is a sad day in the world of golf today. That man that you just heard from, Mark Carnevale, died on Sunday, apparently having a heart attack after playing a game of pickleball in the afternoon. The interview that you just saw in its entirety never aired on this program. We recorded it at the last round of golf we played just 2 weeks ago on our tour through Ireland. Mark was incredible to play golf with. He was incredible to hang out with. Carney was one of my best friends in the world. We traveled the world playing golf. We traveled the world working together, broadcasting the game. His credentials as a player were stout. Mark Carnevale was a 1992 PGA Tour Rookie of the Year. That distinction is now called the Arnold Palmer Award. And it was something that he wore with tremendous pride because Arnold Palmer, along with his father, were his two greatest heroes. To win that award in 1992, Carney had to beat out Phil Mickelson for the honor. Think about that for a second. So for someone that had won at every level of golf that he had ever played, including on the PGA Tour, and had a title, a distinction that he carried with him for the rest of his life of that stature, was something that stands alone, right? However, Mark Carnevale decided to go into golf broadcasting. And for the last, call it 20 years, that was Mark's primary job, working for pretty much everybody that brings you the game in some way, shape, or form. In more recent years, PGA Tour Live and PGA Tour Radio were his primary. So when we had a chance to play at the Old Head, it was quite incredible because the day that we played, and it's called the Old Head because of the headlands along this coast of Ireland that protrude out into the Atlantic Ocean. This particular golf course, more than 2 miles into the Atlantic. And on that day, it just happened to be Mark, his girlfriend Liz, and me playing together. And that never happens. We rarely have a round like that where we just get a chance to go out, as friends without having to entertain someone or play with someone, which we enjoy. But it was just one of these days that it was just about celebrating friendship. And the day was absolutely perfect. Perfect. We asked one of the caddies how they would explain the kind of day that we were having. And he put it succinctly saying the day was one of one. And it made me think about Carney because he truly was one of one. Mark Carnevale, as I mentioned, is a guy who was making his living off of words, yet the words that he used were always succinct. They always carried with them a certain efficiency. I can remember asking Carney one time in his own experiences and with the great champions that he chronicled on a weekly basis, what was the difference between people who win and people who lose? And almost every time I spoke to Carney, you could take the question as a metaphor for something more, and 99 times out of 100, he took the bait, and it was deliberate because I love to hear his views. And his answer to me to that question was, you have to risk failure in order to succeed. Carney's dad, Ben, is in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And Carney always carried with him this belief in the dignity of the game, in the dignity of sports, in what we can accomplish individually, and how to accomplish it, and how to do it the right way. When we parted company in that trip just a little while ago, he had to go on to broadcast the Scottish Open. I was staying in Ireland for a few more days in advance of going to Royal Troon. And as I mentioned, the day at the Old Head was so perfect that when we finished, Carney was looking kind of reflectively over the rail on the back deck of the clubhouse. Incredible view. And Carney said, "It looks like heaven." So he went off to Scotland, and along the way, he and his girlfriend Liz played Kingsbarns. They visited the old course at St. Andrews, of course. The final picture of Mark Carnevale's life was actually taken on the Swilcan Bridge. The significance of it resonates. So about a year ago, Carney joined me to host a group of fans from the Fairways of Life show to go back to the home of golf. And it was one particular night. We were working on the show. Dom had asked me to do a sit-down interview with Carney, kind of getting his reflections on the week that had been. That week, it was tremendous. Again, we got very fortunate with beautiful weather, or maybe that's just a recollection. And it was an opportunity once again to pick the brain of Mark Carnevale and get his unique perspective, a perspective that I think will never be again, from a friend that, you know, he was just that kind of special friend. I don't know how to define it to you. I mean, one way I would think would be he was the type of friend that you would call to move a couch. You know, anything, whatever you needed. He was that kind of guy. And so this conversation went down the pathway of inspirations and heroes and who we walk our path through life and beyond with. Here was Carney at the home of golf.
If you would allow, I'd like to kind of tap into some of those thoughts that you were sharing with the other night that your dad had imparted to you that kind of are like lifetime guideposts.
They was, and my dad was my hero along with Arnold Palmer. So my two pretty good heroes, and my mom was there, but obviously there's a different relationship with my mother. My dad influenced my entire life, and I watched him, and it was interesting when I was a young kid and I started playing golf. And we had just moved from northern New Jersey down to Williamsburg, Virginia, and I loved to play basketball. Obviously, you mentioned he was in the Basketball Hall of Fame as a coach and an influencer in the game. But it wasn't basketball. I wasn't going anywhere with basketball when we got down there, and I had a passion for golf.
Did he ever impart any advice along the line of, I mean, and again, I'm going to connect it to golf. there's shots we make and there's many shots we don't make. Did he ever give you any connection and perspective in terms of, I don't know, how do I define it, the pursuit?
Oh, absolutely. And you're going to do this to me because, as I said, my father was my hero and my best friend. He said, there's nothing wrong with failing. We all pursue indentures, or we all pursue opportunities, whether it's sports, whether it's in business. It might even just be one deal, one deal that doesn't go your way. And I think failure is probably the wrong way to classify it, but I think that's kind of the way society looks at things. If, you failed at that. He said, there's nothing wrong with failing. Failing is not learning from each of those experiences. And that applies so importantly to the game of golf. You get out on the tee and you don't hit the shot right. Okay. Well, what did you do wrong? If you're just doing it and going through the motions, you're never going to learn. So you take something away from every experience, whether it's successful or unsuccessful. Let's use unsuccessful rather than failure. But that was a part of him that stays with me every day. That it's almost like nothing ventured, nothing gained. If you don't try and learn from what you're trying to do, how are you ever going to succeed?
Wow, that is powerful stuff. And Carney's admitting to it, he's getting emotional talking about his dad. But I think it's fair to say that when you're on a links golf course, we've heard it multiple times on this trip already, that the experiences that you have in these courses is a spiritual one. And there's a sense that you're sharing the experience with people that maybe are gone or the past or maybe your own ghosts or whatever it is. It's a very different experience when you're out here, when you let the serenity settle in, and when you're on a march like we are, that's really a celebration of life and friendship and fun. Is there a connection here? Do you feel that? Do you kind of feel like it's not just about what you're doing with a club in hand at the moment, if that makes any sense?
Oh, it does. And as you say that, I get goosebumps and, my eyes are starting to tear because my father introduced this game to me. I believe in this. I believe things happen, and I believe you can experience things whether you want them or not. And the one experience that I was never able to have with my father is to come here to the home of golf, where, again, that's where golf started. And he introduced me to this game at 3 years old, and I just turned 63 years old. And to think that without him sort of feeling or understanding, because all my brothers played basketball. They tried to play golf, but they weren't. And I don't know if it was just something he sensed, because he was always behind me, despite my mom saying, get a job, you need security and all this. And I kept pursuing the PGA Tour. There's a connection. And the first time I played the old course, and I say that obviously because we're sitting right next to it, I was like, oh, okay. The second time I came back, I don't know if it was the anticipation the first time but it was the second time I came back where I actually felt the presence of him, of all those that played this game before me. And that was pretty special.
Yeah, this is the stage where all those that played the game before us, all the greats, have walked these grounds, save for only Ben Hogan. It is that remarkable. You are too, my friend. Thank you so much for the hospitality. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being you.
Always my pleasure, Matty.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're gonna love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get. Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, great to be back stateside talking about all things that took place at the last major of the season on the men's side of the game. And I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think that Royal Troon delivered in every way. It's such a unique golf course. You know, we had the opposite winds to start the week. And so normally when the winds are coming off the player's right shoulder, it's a golf course that has, I'll call it a gentle start. But those holes, those first few holes are so flat, and obviously they're defined by the bunkering and so forth, and they sit hard right on the sea, so it makes them beautiful, but it doesn't make them particularly stunning to the eye. When the wind shifted and they played into the wind, it changed the character of the holes and the start of the tournament completely. So that now, instead of being a gentle start, go low to begin and then hang on, it was hang on right out of the gate. So it made it for a really exciting Open. And the name couldn't be more apropos in terms of what it produced throughout the course of the week, in terms of it was an Open that was wide open. The golf course, as I mentioned, to me, really has 3 distinct chapters. It has that opening chapter, which normally relatively benign, though Mother Nature decided to make it a brute, still was pretty much straightforward, not remarkable in terms of its topography or, I mean, anything that sits hard along the sea is going to look stunning when it's a links golf course. But in comparison relative to the rest of the golf course, it just wasn't as spectacular. Then you get on the 7th tee, and the golf course starts from the standpoint of weaving its way through the middle part of the course, which are these fabulous dunes. In fact, the same ridge that runs behind this 7th green, you can see it on the left side of the graphic. That dune line runs all the way up to the tee box of the postage stamp hole, because what they did was they basically flattened the top of a dune on the right side. You'll see it reveal itself as we are playing this drone footage. They flattened a dune on the right side of the green complex, and that's the tee for the postage stamp. And then you're hitting a shot that the longest that I saw the postage stamp play was, I think, 123 yards for the week. 123 yards. And the players had fits with it. Because of the topography of the hole, it's the green is plenty long enough. It's just angled on a way that you're hitting into the skinniest part. This, again, the video you're watching, watch as the dune drops right in front of you. That's the dune that you're hitting off. Same, and then the dunescape runs down on the left with a valley, and then it peaks back up again with the dune that's to the left side of this hole. This is their signature hole, and it was incredibly dramatic. Argument could be made that this hole had more of an impact on the conclusion of the Open than any other. I would throw into the mix the 11th and the 12th as well in terms of the part that they played when it was all said and done. But when it was all said and done, we had Xander Schauffele finishing a 9 under par, 2 shots clear of 2 in Justin Rose and Billy Horschel. On that final day, I was assigned to Horschel and Lawrence. And it was great following him. It was great, particularly seeing the way that Billy finished with 3 consecutive birdies. But it was what Xander Schauffele did that was so remarkable, finishing with that 65. He now has 9 PGA Tour wins to his credit. He went for so long with the weight upon his shoulders of being the best to have yet won a major. And now, within a span of 2 full months, he is a multiple-time major champion. He was also, as you know, the 2020 Olympic gold medalist, right? And he's going to come back and defend that in only days. He's played on 2 United States Ryder Cup teams, 2 President's Cup teams. I mean, his record is stout. When you consider that of his starts in the PGA Tour, 44 top 5 finishes, that means that 25% of the time of all his starts on tour, he's finished in the top 5. Let that sink in just for a second. It's 180 starts. He's now currently ranked number 2 in the official World Golf Rankings. What he did historically is also distinctive. First to win multiple majors in the same year since Brooks Koepka did it in 2018. First to win the PGA and the Open in the same year since Rory McIlroy did it in 2014. Xander is the only player with top 10 finishes in all 4 majors in 2024. He was tied for 8th at the Masters. His victory at Valhalla, tied for 7th at the U.S. Open. He won the Open. He owns 12 top 10 finishes and 18 starts this season, second most behind Scottie Scheffler. We'll talk about that coming up in the show, too. Where does he fit relative to Scottie Scheffler this year? Xander's final round 65 was, of course, the round of the day, and one of only 2 bogey-free rounds in that final round. And interesting, you can see the graphic there. 7 of the last 8 Open champions at Royal Troon were from the United States. So we broke up Xander's sound here in the pieces. John kind of edited it down for us into the best of the best, the filet cuts. And so we start here with Xander where we should start, which is, yeah, it's about family and it's about path and it's about all those things that led him to where he is right now. But first and foremost, as I mentioned, how are you feeling at this moment?
Yeah, it's an honor. I've always dreamt of doing it. That walk-up 18 truly is the coolest with the yellow leaderboards and the fans and the standing ovation. It really is one of the coolest feelings I've ever had in my life. I got chills walking down and quickly had to zap myself back into focus because the tournament wasn't over yet. So, I can't wait to enjoy this with my family. In the end, it makes it feel like it's all worth it. So, my wife's here, both my parents, my brother, and my uncle. So sort of, my day ones, as I would say, they were all here to they haven't enjoyed it with me yet, but tonight will be awesome. I really haven't, I've been sort of running around a bit since that final putt's been held. I was in a waiting room for maybe 10 minutes, but I was just, informed that, just on the tip here, dating back to the first Open at Prestwick there, it's, if you start looking at it, which I will definitely have time to tonight, I think it'll all really sink in and settle in. And, right now I feel very, very, pretty speechless when it comes to, if I sat in a room by myself with this, I would just stare at it and gaze and really try and take it all in. Before I had any majors, it was something I've always wanted, one step closer, and still have a long way to go. So, but, if you don't see yourself doing it, you're never going to do it. Long ago, yeah. I mean, I decided to take golf seriously when I was about, 13 maybe. And, I sat down with my dad when I was maybe 15 and 16, and we started to really hash out some goals and dreams of what I'd like to do. I mean, I was on the couch with my dad a lot watching, other guys win majors and win big tournaments. And my dad and I, we've definitely talked about this. We've watched that walk up 18 pretty much every year until I've played in the Open. And it's definitely something that, we've both dreamt of. Pretty obvious. I mean, Austin's, he's one of my best friends, but it's a team thing. It's I'm the one hitting the shots, but at the end of the day, it's a team thing. It's a team environment that I like to have for my team, I guess. And it just, I was marching and I was sitting there and I was just trying to focus, and then I sort of looked up and I saw the yellow leaderboards, and in my head I was like, this, you're about to have your moment here. And no one better to share it than Austin, because he deserves it as well. Yeah, that was an incredible win for Bob, and I don't know if I'm going to have as much of it as an embrace, not being Scottish, but it's going to be it'll be low key for most, but for me, I don't really drink a whole lot ever, and I don't really get to celebrate too many things ever. This game is cruel at times, so I have my whole family and most of my team here, and I'm just curious to see what my dad's going to pick as a first drink to drink out of this. I'm sure my dad's he's not in here. He might be. He's there. He is. He's going to have to figure out what he wants to put in there, because he's taking the first gulp out of it.
Xander Schauffele, victory at Royal Troon. He is the Open champion for 2024 and the champion golfer of the year. PGA Tour Superstore is the presenting sponsor of the Fairways of Life show. If you need it for your golf game, you certainly can find it inside of their big, beautiful store spread out from coast to coast. And I think their chief asset, it's not only those big, beautiful stores. I think their chief asset are their people. You're shopping with pros, people who are experts at what they do, vested in your best interest. Check them out. PGA Tour Superstore, your happy place.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Gen 6 iron is a culmination of everything that we have learned as a team, the absolute best golf club I've ever hit. It's something special. Say hello to the new PXG Gen 6 iron. The longest, most accurate irons we've ever made. They go higher and farther than any iron that I have hit to date, and they're so easy to hit. Super excited for the consumer to try this. They're going to love them.
PXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Baseball? Nah. Football? Done it. I think I'm going to go after PGA Tour.
Playing on the PGA Tour is not easy. But you know what is easy? Hitting the 524 series from Tour Edge.
Hitting linebackers and home runs used to be easy.
Out here, you're going to need all the easy you can get.
Introducing the 524 series from Tour Edge. The easiest clubs you'll ever hit. Even the best players in the world can use a little easy.
I like the sound of that. Look out, PGA Tour.
Pound for pound, nothing comes close.
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Order yours and save. Visit zerofriction.com/stride or scan the QR code to order yours today. Stride, your personal caddy.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, pleasure to have your company from wherever you are joining us, coast to coast and around the world. So, Dom, it's been a while since I've had a chance to kind of ask you about what you're hearing from the people and what their thoughts are. I'm sure there's a lot of reaction to Xander Schauffele now being a multiple-time major champion, not only in this season, but overall. I mean, that's a distinction that's very rare in the game of golf. And in the kind of history that you start to touch on when you do the things that he's doing. And then that other question that I had popped in my head earlier when I was saying about, we're seeing a remarkable season this year. Yeah, Xander. We're also seeing a remarkable season from Scottie Scheffler, and kind of where do those two fit and all the rest. So a wide net that I'm casting at you there, but what are you hearing?
Yeah, there's a lot. First of all, we appreciate all the kind words that have come in following the passing of our friend Mark Carnevale. There's been a lot of condolences. People are writing in. We appreciate that. It's been a rough stretch. We'll all remember him very fondly and continue to talk about him on this program and play clips, I'm sure, Matt. Plenty of clips we can play of Carney. And then, of course, there's also reaction coming in from the Open Championship. And a lot of it has to do with how incredible Xander played. This championship's going to open the floodgates to Xander winning lots of majors going forward. A green jacket is in the future, Michael says. D says, if Xander wins gold in the Olympics and wins the Tour Championship, is he the player of the year? Maybe he's the player of the year right now, Matt. I mean, you could probably make that argument. I think. His even-keeled demeanor is what works for him and what separates him. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming in, and that has a little bit to do with my question of the day, which actually comes from our very own John Burkett. It was his idea, and I like it, and we're going to stick with it. And we're actually going to get, this is a first for us, Matt, we're going to get the answer to today's question of the day from Xander Schauffele, because the question of the day is Xander Schauffele now among the best of his generation. He was actually asked that question in his press conference, and just coming up in the program, we're going to play that back, and you're going to hear his answer to that question. But the people are saying, possibly unsurprisingly, Matt, especially following the second major of just this year, 85% are saying, yes, he has shoved his way into being one of the best players of his generation. And Andrew, put the graphic back up of his full stats, like his career stats. I think that at the bottom of that, that's the telling stat there, Matt. That's a pretty extraordinary statistic. 44 career top 5 finishes on the PGA Tour in only 180 PGA Tour starts. Additionally, one more thing, Matt. Andrew, put up Michael McEwen's tweet that I want Matt to see and I want to share with the people.
Michael's
coming
the
from X.
editor of Bunkered magazine.
Yes, correct. So this you see Ed McEwen Golf there. He put together a spreadsheet of all the guys who made the cut in all 4 majors and how they finished. And there you see Xander light years ahead of Scotty Scheffler, which is unexpected, I would think. And Scotty and Colin Morikawa are sort of neck and neck there. And then there's a massive drop-off after those 3 guys. Lowry, Cantlay, Russell Henley makes an appearance, et cetera, et cetera. So pretty extraordinary season from Xander Schauffele. I have 2 questions for you, Matt. One is the question of the day. Is Xander Schauffele now among the best of this generation? And 2 is he player of the year now after collecting his 2nd major of the year?
Yeah, to a couple different things. One is a question that I have that's popped in my head after this, especially because of that stat that we've been noting about 44 top 5 finishes, 25% of his starts on the PGA Tour. Did we all collectively fail to appreciate how great a player Xander was before he broke through these majors? It's easy to look back on a person that's now a multiple-time major champion, 2 of the 4 majors in the same season, and go, well, of course he was. But did we appreciate it during the time and place? I'd be curious about that. The first, your question to me is too broadly asked. So if you ask the question of, is he amongst the best players of his generation, it's 1,000. It shouldn't be 85%. It should be 100%. Of course he is. Amongst the best? Yes. This leads to the second question. Is he the best right now? That's where you have to get sharper. That's where the pencil continues to need to get sharper. Because with what Scotty Scheffler is doing right now in the game, and I'll just give you an example. If Bryson had won this major championship, we'd be having a different conversation about him being the best right now. But right now, with what Scotty Scheffler is doing and with what Xander is doing, you asked me the question, who is the player of the year? Remember, that's voted on by their peers. But who is the player of the year? I can't give you an answer. That's how tight the race is in my mind right now, because you have 2 major championships against 1 major championship and all those wins for Scotty. We still have before us, and I do think it should factor into it, we have the Olympics. We still have before us the FedEx Cup playoffs, which conclude with the Tour Championship. That's going to factor into it. So it makes me really excited that we have such great golf still before us that means something post end of the major championships lies in store to answer this really big question of who is the best of the best of the best in the world right now, who is the player of the year from a PGA Tour standpoint. All right, another piece of Xander's sound, which I love hearing from champions right after victory, and I love letting it breathe. And this was one where he spoke to his process, how he went through it, what his thinking was, what it was like in that final round. Here is the champion golfer of the year.
At the very tip top. Best round I've played. After I birdied 14, I was able to hit the fairway, and there's a big board right there on 15 by the green, and I was sitting there kind of peeking at it, and I was looking at the boards all day. I've tried it in the past where I haven't done it, but at Valhalla I was looking at them all day, and I really wanted to embrace it, and that's what I did there. So I told myself to do the same thing here and really just look at it and embrace it and take it for what it is and move along. So I looked up at the board there, and I knew if I could birdie 16, I birdied 7 today, or 6, sorry. That was the first par 5 I birdied all week. So if I can birdie my second par 5 of the week on 16, that would be special. And then as soon as I hit the green on 17, I had to really, really try and focus really hard to not let my mind wander too much. It's very different, Different times of stress. If there's a stress meter, I definitely peaked at different moments. On the 18th hole today, the fact that it was a little bit of help and I could, hit a 3-iron, 8-iron in versus, driver, 4-iron lob wedge or sand wedge or whatever it was. So there's calmness and super stressful moments when you're trying to win a major championship. And, I felt them in the past, the ones I didn't win, and, I let them get to me. And today I felt like I did a pretty good job of weathering a storm when I needed to. I think so. I mean, I think it's essential. Just the time zone itself is a big thing to overcome. And then when you move along to the fescue and the deep bunkers and the finer sand, and then you talk about the wind, and then the greens being slower. I mean, it's literally everything is completely different than what we do over in the States. So if you can just give yourself an extra week to try and acclimate, I think it is a no-brainer. It's all part of the process. I mean, it is an incredible feeling to be up here with the claret jug. It is just a result at the end of the day, and I really do believe that. And sometimes things go your way, and sometimes they don't. And when you're playing today, I felt like I really controlled a lot of it. I kind of grabbed onto it, and there's no chance that I was going to let go of it. I was pretty aware of that, and really wanted to make sure I did that. But for the most part, all those tough losses in the past, or those moments where I let myself slip up and dream too early on that back nine, I was able to reel myself in today and make sure that didn't happen. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I'm definitely going to believe that is true, because here we are. It's a completely different, like we just talked about, it's a completely different style of golf. It makes you play shots and have different ball positions, and there's so much risk reward when the wind's blowing and 20 miles an hour and it starts raining, and there's so many different variables that come into play, and it truly is an honor to win this. To me, it's big. To me, winning the Scottish Open was big because it meant my game can travel. So to double that up and win a major in Scotland's even cooler. I always felt it, coming over. I talked early in the week that my first time playing any sort of links style was when I was 13 or 14 at Bandon Dunes, and I immediately loved it then. I'm a competitor. I like to challenge myself. I like challenges in general. And if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to try and do it. And for a kid growing up in San Diego, to tell him you can't play in the wind and rain, that would be sort of the peak there for a kid on the West Coast and 75 and 5 miles an hour wind. So it's a really cool thing for me and my team.
I got ball fit in 2000, went on a little run. Then Bridgestone fit me again, and I went on another run. I just got fit again for the new Tour BX. The ball fitting's been helping me. Will it help you?
What would your ultimate golf experience be like? Just you and a friend? Or would you round up some buddies for a foursome? Just one day? Or an entire week? There's a good chance your ultimate golf experience could be Michigan's magnificent 10. 10 incredible courses set among 3 remarkable resorts. See for yourself. Book your ultimate golf experience today.
I think when you're training for other sports, or why most people go to the gym is so that they can have muscles and be strong and be healthy. And a lot of the reason why they struggle to play golf is their body doesn't move properly for them to be able to hit a golf ball. And when you're training for golf, it's a little bit different because you're focused more on flexibility and mobility and being strong in motion. When you're able to kind of have a warm up and have a workout routine and kind of gradually build up to where you're training your body to move properly, you're going to get a lot of big dividends on the golf course.
Every January, PGA Tour Superstore pros meet every manufacturer, learn about the latest equipment, log thousands of hours of training, and together hit over 100,000 balls. All so they can get you the perfect fit.
What if we started a company and the company was under no time constraints, no financial constraints, The one constraint is their clubs had to be exceptional performers and much better than any other alternative. I was told time and again it'll never work. It worked like a house of fire. And I'll tell you what, I think our customers love it. BXG, nobody makes golf clubs the way we do, period.
Stride by Zero Friction, the first of its kind personal caddy. Walk in comfort and style with Stride's remote and follow me technology. The Stride handles almost any terrain, and its 54-hole range will last all day. The lightweight design and removable front wheels makes it simple to handle. Plus, it easily fits golf carts. Pick up your Stride today at a local PGA Tour Superstore near you or at zerofriction.com/stride. Stride, your personal caddy.
So, Matt, all right, so here's the deal. I talked to Matt a lot, too much, way too much. And I spoke to him when he was at one of the airports trying to get home, which was a disaster because of the Microsoft stuff. And he finally got home. But when I was talking to him, I was asking him about what he got to see at the Open. And I was asking him, who'd you follow on Saturday? I couldn't remember. And he couldn't remember. He couldn't remember, folks. And so I put this graphic together, Matt, because I'm not sure even you knew what you actually witnessed yourself. And if you look at this graphic here, this is Matt's insanity when he's on site doing these events. So Matt covered the Open Championship for the Open Radio all week. And there you see what he did. He basically got to see the best of the best and everybody. So what you're looking at there is who he followed in the morning and the afternoon on Thursday and Friday, who he followed on the weekend. And what you see next to each name is the score that player had for that particular round of golf. I mean, Matt, you followed, there's Xander Friday morning, there's Tiger Friday morning, Scheffler Thursday afternoon, there's Spieth there. You had Shane Lowry's rough Saturday. You can see that. I mean, Billy Horschel and Tristan Lawrence on Sunday, as a lot of people have been writing in today, Matt, these guys didn't lose the Open. Xander took it from them. Mm-hmm. I mean, Billy Horschel is fighting around 68. He birdied the last 3 holes.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at that, like I said, it is kind of surprising to see it laid out that way because the way we do the world,
it's a lot.
Well, the way we do the
Too
world
much,
radio
really.
feed, well, we're on the air for 14 hours a day, so you're gonna do 36 holes a day plus on Thursday and Friday, and then generally 18 and a little bit more unless you're chasing somebody on Saturday and Sunday. But for Thursday, they wanted me to go out with Brian Harman because he was the defending champion and see what would happen. And there were a lot of people that were encouraged by Victor Hovland, even though I kind of feel like Victor has come off the boil a little bit. And so you could say it was tough. The conditions were very, very tough. And then I followed Scheffler and Spieth in the afternoon, and Scotty Scheffler should have shot at least a 65. That's how well he was striking the golf ball. And he was putting really well, the story of Scotty Scheffler will be that his putting was terrible. He was hitting extremely good putts. He couldn't get them to drop. He was burning edges. It was a blade of grass along the way. Jordan was Jordan. At times he was brilliant. He was magnificent. And at other times he was, Van Gogh. On Friday, going out early with Tiger and Xander and Patrick Cantlay was an interesting group, and you can see the Cantlay of the three bettered him on Friday with a 68. And at that point, I kind of felt like it would be Patrick Cantlay we'd be talking about on Sunday afternoon. But what I saw in Tiger with that 77, I don't think was really reflective of how Tiger was playing. Tiger started out tight in the tournament. He just started out tight. By the mid-round to end of the round, I saw a different Tiger. I saw a Tiger who could move. I saw a Tiger who could get clubhead speed going and ball speed as a result and distance. I saw a Tiger that actually encouraged me, not discouraged me, because he missed the cut convincingly. It was the opposite. I looked at it and said, you know what? I think there's more to come here from Tiger Woods because it was a very different Tiger than what I expected. When it came to the afternoon rounds, that afternoon I went out with Homa and Hatton and Rory. Again, Rory's race starting out, there was a sense that it had already been run. And he started just like Tiger, very tight, trying to force things. It just wasn't going for him. By the end of the round, I felt the same way about Rory that I felt about Tiger. It's going to be a miscut. We knew that. However, he started to play golf instead of play swing and play strategy and play position and try to outduel Mother Nature. And so he finished with a couple of birdies down the stretch. He was smiling. He was laughing. You could see that it was almost as if he crossed a bridge. And everything that he went through, from the U.S. Open to saying that he was going to take a little bit of time to contemplate, to playing pretty well, actually, at the Scottish Open, to a poor start at this Open, I was impressed. Homa, when he made that putt on 18 and burst out in exclamation because he was going to be there for the weekend, was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen in the game of golf. Tyrrell Hatton, he shot at 77. It kind of fell apart at the end. But he's entertaining as all get out, right? On Saturday, I witnessed the demise of Shane Lowry. Dan Brown was okay, but Shane Lowry just got consumed by circumstance and got consumed by the elements. I already talked to you about Billy Horschel and his incredible finish. But what about the finish? We still have one more segment with Xander. So let's get you to that right now. Xander Schauffele, and these were his final words about what this all means in his victory.
It was hard. It was very difficult. I think winning the first one helped me a lot today. On the back nine, I had some feeling of calmness come through, and it was very helpful on what has been one of the hardest back nines I've ever played in a tournament. So it's it's a dream come true to win 2 majors in 1 year. It took me forever just to win one, and to have 2 now is something else. I felt like I limited the mistakes pretty well. There was one really, lucky to only have one really hard round in sort of the wind and rain, and I managed that day better than I ever thought I could, to be honest. And I felt like I just controlled a lot of what I was trying to do, and the moments where I was losing control, I sort of, if I hit it offline and into the fescue, I wasn't too worried about it because it's links golf. It's just how you play golf out here. As long as you avoid those coffin bunkers, you can move that ball forward and get yourself back in the hole. So I think the style of golf maybe helped me mentally play it this week. The style of golf you can play out here, you don't have to be perfect or, hit the prettiest drives or anything, as long as you're moving the ball forward and dodging bunkers and keeping holes in front of you and making sure your chips are into the wind and all the stuff that us pros talk about. It's easy to talk about. It's harder to actually do when you're out there. And I think Austin and I did a pretty good job of plotting around this difficult property. I'm not sure. I think a long time ago, I just kept tracking my rounds where I got angry and truly deep down angry, and my mistakes started compounding, and I really can't tell you. I get angry, but to me it's all about the next shot. I know it's cliche, and people try to talk about it, but you really can make yourself happy if you try and hit a good shot as your next one versus just snowballing the wrong way. So I really, easier said than done, of course. But I mean, I've never broken a club, but I've gotten pretty pissed off on property. You can probably ask Austin. He's like an elephant. He keeps track of all these things in his mind. Everyone in my family knows how competitive I am. I may not be the guy running around fist pumping, but that's just who I am. I kind of know how I need to be to perform at a high level. And it's the same way I don't get really angry. I also don't let myself get too over the moon, just because to me, it's the same thing. If I'm sitting there snapping a club, that'd be the same thing as me running around fist pumping. It would take too long for me to adjust before my next shot to hit a good one. So, I've kind of embraced this sort of SoCal laid-back kid, but there's obviously a fire burning deep within, where you wouldn't have a couple majors sitting by your side. If you look hard enough, you can always find it, but it's just something, you know, when you're feeling like you need an extra kick in the butt, there's several easy ways to motivate yourself. So, you know, there's still a lot of things that I like to do in my career, and this is a very big leap towards that. And there's the fire's still burning, maybe brighter than ever.
Players that have won 2 majors in a season recently, in like the last decade, like Rory and Jordan and Brooks, they're largely regarded as the best players of this generation. Would you say now that you've sort of cemented yourself as one of the best of this generation?
I don't really think that way, I guess. You know, I think the guys in the States sort of know how these pressers go. You know, I pretty much, that's your guys' job to speculate and do those things, and I'm just trying to win as many of these things as I can and play the best golf as I can and be a decent guy. So I'll let you you ponder that one.
All right, there it is. He answered the question of the day himself, that he doesn't think that way, doesn't categorize himself against whether he is the best of his generation or amongst it. But it is a debate that we all can enjoy having. You know, we're fortunate, all of us, to work in the game of golf, because I think golf, save for some rare instances, is our escape from the rigors of the real world. It's our opportunity to share it with our loved ones. So thank you for your time today, and hold your loved ones close until we are together again, folks. Be well, and goodbye for now.